Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm working from time to time on neurographic artworks. I enjoy experimenting with this art form, working intuitively as a means of creative relaxation. No worries about composition, tonal variation, or any of the other aspects of formal painting, even my usual medium of acrylic abstracts. Sometimes I use colour and dots instead of lines, like this one I created from a page used to wipe my paintbrush. But mostly I like to work in black and white, like these. So what about the ghost nets? I've called this video Ghost Nets and Neurographic Art because last week I found, somewhat to my surprise, that the two had met in my work. Well, what are ghost nets? Ocean life is at risk from pollution of all kinds, but one of the most insidious risks comes from ghost nets, fishing nets that have been abandoned, lost or otherwise discarded, and they're often hundreds of meters long. They're nearly invisible in the depths, left to drift in the open sea where fish and turtles and dolphins, sharks, dugongs, seabirds and even whales can become entangled and die. It's estimated that around 48,000 tons of ghost nets are generated each year, and they float around for a long time before breaking up because they're made of very high quality synthetics. So what's the connection with the neurographic sketch I did this week? I followed my usual routine. To begin, I splashed on some passages and splatters of dilute black wash. Then, once the paper was dry, I simply allowed a thick art pen to meander across the page. With the basic structure in place, I added scribbles from a fine liner and finished by blocking in the junctions between the lines. Once I'd completed the little sketch to my satisfaction, I put it to one side so I could move on with other work. I only came back to it at the weekend, turning it this way and that to find which aspect appealed the most. Imagine my surprise when, on the last turn, I detected a seal, whale tails, a juvenile hammerhead shark, a discarded lifebuoy, and even an upside-down tiny sea dragon, all enmeshed in the tangle of lines I had drawn. It was then that I realized that I'd intuitively tapped into the issue of ghost nets. How does this happen and what does it mean? When we're in creative flow, do we open ourselves to the voices of nature crying mutely for our attention? I live by the sea, so I'm sensitive to the elements and the creatures who make the ocean their home. I walk daily along the beach when the weather allows me to do so, observing the empty shells, the cuttlefish bones, the stranded blue bottles, crab claws and desiccated fish. I feel compassion for these little lost lives, residue of the endless rhythm of life and death. I watch the whales on their annual migration, delighting in their breaching and fin slapping, wishing them safety on their long and arduous journey. So perhaps this is why the denizens of the deep called out to me that rainy afternoon while I scribbled in my sketchbook. Or perhaps it's just my imagination, which loves to find patterns in a chaotic world. You may draw your own conclusions, and you're welcome to leave your comments accordingly. But as a final note, I've contributed to petitions for the banning of these terrible nets, as one small voice raised on behalf of these suffering beings, perhaps my story will encourage you to do the same. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and like if you're happy with it, and leave a comment. Until next time.